saga between Patricia de Lille, the supposed outgoing mayor of Cape Town, and the DA continuing. Political analyst Sanusha Naidu joins us now from Cape Town via our Skype line for some analysis on the story. Sanusha, thanks as always for your time. I mean, the toing and froing between the DA and Patricia de Lille can make your head spin, so I'm not going to go through all of the details of that now, but what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think it's just a saga that doesn't want to go away, and both sides are adamant that it won't go away. So this is not something that I think bodes well, both in terms for both parties. For the DA in terms of branding and being able to concisely and decisively deal with issues internal to its dynamics in the party, and for Patricia de Lille, who continuously, I think, in a sense, is trying to proclaim her innocence, have her innocence, her kind of fitness to be in a position of mayor and leave that position with a sense of dignity continues to remain the overwhelming issue. So in a sense, I think on the one hand, we thought that this issue was eventually sorted out, resolved when the announcement was made in August that she would resign at the end of October, which is today. But of course, in the interim between then and now, we've seen the DA also we see another report emerge where this has become an ongoing issue. So whether or not they're going to resolve it today or resolve it tomorrow, or whether or not she gets her application, lodges her application and gets it successfully heard by the court in terms of not allowing her to vacate the office because she says she hasn't formally resigned and issued the letter to the head of council. So this in itself continue to remain a football match that never ends.
Plenty of theories floating around that Patricia de Lille is in fact trying to destabilize the DA ahead of forming a new political party. Might that be happening? Might it be a successful venture?
I'm not 100% sure, but of course, if you believe in those kinds of theories and scenarios, you could actually see some level in which people may believe that these are the dynamics that are at play, and this is why it's happening. But for me, the curious thing here is that this second report that came out from Bowman's Johannesburg, in fact, in my opinion, what I saw as a situation emerging is that this was resolved. So having that meeting with Mmusi Maimane, having a letter which is now publicly put on Twitter to say that it was addressed to Mmusi Maimane and not the council ahead, actually suggests that up from then to now, what changed in the DA? Because if it was her strategy to actually undermine the DA and basically destabilize it as these different theories are making the rounds, then why did the second report come out, and why does that now suddenly be given a whole lot of attention and is put on the website, and on the basis of that there's I don't know if it has happened, but they said there will be criminal charges instituted against her, because that in itself would have been a way in which the DA could have actually recalibrated itself and redefined itself, and also got away from these accusations of destabilization. So from a kind of political party perspective, it doesn't make sense to me as a strategy that after you've had this discussion in terms of what is discussed, that you go back after this individual and then you give her the open fodder to raise these issues and speculations of destabilization.
Plenty of comments being made from those by those five councillors who resigned from the party in that chaotic sitting of council last week. And we should put a disclaimer that you need to be careful around what you believe, especially when councillors have left a party. But they said a lot of interesting things about racism within the Democratic Alliance, within the city itself. The question is, Sanusha, from your outside sort of bird's eye view, does the DA deal with different party members differently?
I think the DA has always been a broad church. So it had to basically accommodate various constituencies within the party. And if you go back to the period after '94 and how I think earlier this morning, not long ago, you had the former DA leader talk about floor crossing. Now, the DA has been a successful entity of floor crossing as well. We saw the emergence of how the NNP moved into the DA, the ID moved into the DA. We also saw disaffected NNP members, voters, as well as from other political parties go into the DA. So there's always been a broad church. Whether or not the broad church represents a party that's trying to accommodate minority voices is another issue. I think within the party, you will only be able to determine that depending on the space and the voice that you are given. So what these 5 members or former members of the DA are saying is something that needs to be looked at in a much more critical way in terms of how transformation is taking place within the party. But I can say that in terms of what is going on, if they feel that they don't have the space within the party to make these, to have an honest discussion about the different internal dynamics around transformation, and they feel that they could do this in a dramatic way of resigning and then raising these questions, then it doesn't, in a sense, you have to be also open to the fact that you're going to leave yourself vulnerable to attacks of saying, well, now you're basically just throwing your toys out of the cot. You should have did it internally. But what I do think is that it's always, the DA has always struggled in a sense to try and accommodate the different constituencies, and trying to be that all-weather party is going to be difficult, particularly when there are different interests, different voices, and different expectations coming into the party based on being a broad church.
Sanusha Naidu, political analyst, thanks very much as always.